Since Abdel Fattah al-Sisi became Egypt's president in June last year, the country's media have been drawing parallels between him and the man widely regarded as Egypt's greatest leader, Gamal Abdel Nasser.
The Egyptian media started to portray al-Sisi as a continuation of Nasser's legacy, as a much-needed strong leader who will bring back Egypt's perceived regional weight under al-Nasser. Al-Sisi himself, on various occasions, he used rhetoric from that era, and he tapped into discourse of pan-Arabism and Egypt as a center of the Arab world and as a significant player in the region.
In his speech at the Arab conference last month, al-Sisi justified Egypt's intervention in Yemen and announced the formation of a joint Arab military force.
He concluded his speech with a phrase that was very popular during Nasser's era, which is "Long live the greater Arab homeland." And this was soon turned into a hashtag that went trending on Twitter, and a lot of people who posted on the hashtag praised this fresh pan-Arabist rhetoric and kind of revival of the Arab nation and spirit.
Within just a few hours of his speech, this Twitter hashtag, "Long live the Arab homeland," was mentioned in around 20,000 tweets, most of them hailing the new pan-Arab spirit. But is this enough to suggest that al-Sisi is close to Nasser's standing?
Al-Sisi critics would argue that his speeches, his public appearances lack the gravitas that Nasser appearances had. They would say that looking back at Nasser's era, we could see that when Nasser used to give a speech, people across the Arab world would tune in to listen to what he had to say. This doesn't happen with al-Sisi, although this might have to do with Egypt's regional place and status during Nasser's era.
Al Jazeera TV is supportive of the rebel Houthi leader in Yemen, who here is pleading with the Egyptian people to not be led astray by the Saudi regime. The Yemen conflict highlights the stark differences between al-Sisi's and Nasser's political positioning.
Nasser's intervention in Yemen in the 1960s might be seen by many as a stain on his legacy, given that Egypt lost thousands of its soldiers in the Yemeni conflict. Al-Sisi's closest ally, Saudi Arabia, happens to be Nasser's enemy in Yemen in the 1960s. Nasser was trying to replicate a socialist republican model that he initiated in Egypt. As such, he supported Yemen's Republicans in the 1960s who were fighting against the country's monarchists who Saudi Arabia supported.
You know, there was a revolution in Yemen to get rid of the Middle Ages monarchy, and Saudi Arabia began to support the monarchies. We supported the Republicans.
By continuing to identify with Nasser, al-Sisi risks angering Saudi Arabia, its key ally, main financial backer, and a country with its own ambition to be a regional leader.